Okay, so we are going to discuss part B, structured question on chapter 2. So can we start with the the first person in the list, because last week we start with the last person from the list. Okay, so we will start with Aina.
Hello, boleh dengar?
Boleh.
Okay. Number A1, N. Level structure N, O, P, and Q. For N, it is fimbriae. For O, plasma membrane. For P, nucleoid. For Q, flagella.
Okay. So fimbriae ni, what is the function of the fimbriae?
Fimbriae.
It did not state, okay, in your note the function of the fimbriae, but I guess during the lecture your lecturer may have tell you or told you the function of the fimbriae, or you search somewhere what is fimbriae, the function of fimbriae.
To enable the bacteria to bind to a specific surface.
Okay, can so it the by having fimbriae it allows the bacteria to attach to some surface. Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you, Aina.
Okay.
All right. So fimbriae tu you could also label it as pilai or pilis. Kan? So pilis plural lah sebab banyak. Okay, so number 2, Alia, Shamimi.
Um, for B, um, cell component, the structure specialized metabolic compartment bound by a single membrane, and function contain enzyme that remove hydrogen atom and transfer them into oxygen to produce hydrogen peroxide. The cell component is peroxisome.
Next.
Okay. For the Golgi apparatus, the structure consists of flattened membranous sacs called cisternae.
Okay.
Okay, and the function modifies sort and package materials into transport vesicle. And for the lysosome, the structure membranous sac of hydrolytic enzyme, and the function is hydrolyze proteins, fats, polysaccharides, and nucleic acid.
Yeah. Hydro. Hydrolyzed macromolecules lah kan. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Saya rasa saya macam lambat je tulis ni. So you all dengar lah kan. So the first one, cell component is peroxisome. For the Golgi apparatus, the structure, okay, so you have to explain like Alia explained. Okay, don't just write cisternae. You have to explain what is cisternae kan tadi. So which is consists of flattened membranous sac called cisternae. And then you could also write in the structure the region, okay, the region of the Golgi. Okay? So the Golgi apparatus has three region or three areas, which is it has the cis face. Okay? So cis face is the face facing the RAF-ER or the entry surface. Okay? So cis face it faces the RAF-ER, or also known as the entry surface, where that region will receive transport vesicles coming from the RAF-ER. Okay, so RAF-ER will produce transport vesicles containing protein, and these transport vesicles that carries protein will fuse with the membrane of the Golgi, so that the protein enters into the Golgi apparatus to be modified and then packaged again as it travels through the medial region, kan, the medial region of the Golgi apparatus until it reaches the transphase of the Golgi, kan. So Golgi ni dia ada 3 region lah, cis-phase, medial region and also transphase. So the transphase will face the plasma membrane, or it is also known as the exit surface. Okay, exit surface. So from there, the modified protein, kan, the modified protein the protein will form certain functional proteins such as enzyme or hormones, okay, or other forms of protein will be packaged into this transport protein and then transported towards the plasma membrane and fuses with the plasma membrane so that the product can be secreted out of the cell. Or this transport vesicle uh, forms another type of vesicle where it forms the lysosome, kan, komponen yang sel komponen yang ketiga ni lah, kan. So lysosome, so the production of lysosome is it occurs in that way lah, kan. So it originates from the Golgi apparatus. Okay. So for the lysosome, it contains hydrolytic enzyme, kan? Hydrolytic enzyme or lysosomal enzyme to digest macromolecules such as protein, fats, polysaccharides, and also nucleic acids. Okay. So thank you, Alia. So next one, we are going to proceed with if what. Okay, see, please.
C. Table 2 shows different types of cells and their number of ribosomes.
Okay.
C1. Give the cellular location of free and bound ribosomes. Free ribosomes suspended in cytosol.
Okay.
Bound ribosomes attached to the rough endoplasmic reticulum.
Okay, be more specific. Where exactly does the bound ribosome attached to the rough ER?
Uh,
Kan awak ada rough ER ni, kan?
surface ke?
So this is rough ER, right? Okay.
Yeah.
The membrane of the rough ER is connected continuously with the membrane of the nuclear
Smooth,
membrane.
yeah.
Okay. So kalau saya draw ribosome ni macam ni, betul ke salah?
Salah.
Kenapa?
Uh, because
should the ribosome be on the inside of the rough ER or outside of the rough ER?
Outside.
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 So
oh,
when you are explaining on the bound ribosome, you should explain that the bound ribosome is attached to the membrane of the rough ER on the outside part. Okay, outside of the rough ER tu. Okay, so attached to the outside of the rough ER membrane. Macam tu. Boleh
boleh.
rough endoplasmic reticulum. Or the bound ribosome can also be found attached, okay, to the membrane of the nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope.
Nuclear
Okay,
envelope.
so, and furthermore, for the ribosome, you said that the free ribosome, they are found in suspended in the cytosol or cytoplasm. This free ribosome can also be found in the mitochondrial
Mitochondria.
and also in
Chloroplast.
the chloroplast kat mana? Stroma.
Oh.
The stroma. So within the chloroplast, the space within the chloroplast, we call it as the stroma. Okay, so and also the free ribosome can also be found in the nucleoplasm. So ada banyak tempat awak jumpa free ribosome ni. So in the cytosol, in the nucleoplasm, and also in the matrix of mitochondria, and also stroma.
Stroma.
Okay, so thank you. If what? Okay, so number 2, Hazim.
Number two, what is the number of ribosome difference between the cells listed in table 2? Saya jawab because each organ
Saya tak tahu kenapa dia on. Okay.
saya jawab because each organ carry different function.
Carry different function. What do you mean by carry different function? Itu je jawapan awak.
Saya tak tahu nak terang macam mana yang macam pancreas digunakan untuk ni, liver digunakan untuk ni.
Okay, so basically kita pergi kepada asas soalan ni. Dia cakap kat sini, why is the number of ribosome different between the cell listed? Okay, Cik, awak tahu adalah bahagian anggota awak yang tak adalah aktif sangat. Paling aktif pun awak senyum macam tu kan? Faham? So awak pergerakan pipi muscle tu. Alright? Liver is more active compared to the cheek, as the function of the liver is, for example, to filter your blood, to detoxify toxin. So it should be more active. Kan? So pancreas should be even more active, as it is the organ to produce different
Enzyme.
protein such as hormone and also digestive enzyme. Kan? So that's why for pancreas, it has a higher number of ribosome, which is there is stated 1 million, because for the pancreas, it is the organ that involved in the synthesis, the production, the synthesis and the secretion of all sorts of protein products such as digestive enzyme and also hormones. Kan? Insulin, glucagon are hormones that are made up of protein. So you know that the function of ribosome is to produce protein. So that's why pancreas will have a higher number of ribosome. Faham?
Faham?
Okay. So pancreas or pancreatic cells produce more proteins compared to other cell. So that should be your answer lah. Boleh
Boleh.
Okay. Hazim, sebab awak tak boleh nak jawab soalan nombor 2 tu dengan tepat, so awak buat D.
Soalan D. What organelle is involved in sperm motility and found in significantly high numbers? Explain your answer. Mitochondria, because sperm needs more energy to move.
Okay, so mitochondria. So jawapan yang dia 2 markah kan. So the first mark should be the mark for mitochondria. For the second mark tadilah, so mitochondria can produce a lot of energy in the form of ATP, so that the energy can be used for the sperm to swim. Faham Okay, so bolehlah mitochondria produce energy in the form of ATP through cellular respiration. So basically you have the head of the sperm, and then you have the neck region, and then you have the tail. So the neck region here is where the mitochondria will be stored lah kan. So kita akan belajar nanti masa semester 2 for reproductive system. The semen contains sperm and also secretion from various glands, okay, within the male reproductive system. So male reproductive system dia ada 3 accessory gland. So one of the gland will secrete secretion that contains fructose. Okay, so that secretion from the fructose will become the source for the mitochondria within the sperm to fuel the cellular respiration in order to generate energy in the form of ATP. Kan? So this allows the sperm to be able to swim. Okay, so thank you Hazim. Okay, so number 2. A. Nasiruddin, sorry.
Itu A. Name D. D is rough endoplasmic reticulum.
Okay. So tu senang je. So proceed to number 2 please.
Describe the functional relationship of structures D, E, and F. D produce secretory protein and the lumen of D but off to form transport vesicle, and then transport vesicle moves secretory protein to E to further modify. And third, secretory protein packaged in F to be transported to plasma membrane.
Okay, so betul lah, you got all the 3 marks. Okay, so Nasir, thank you. So yang lain dapat So basically you have to know the organelle D is Rafi R. E is Golgi apparatus. F adalah transport vesicle. So from D, it produces protein that is packaged in the form of transport vesicles that will be transported to Golgi apparatus, which is E, to be modified and then packaged again in the form of F lah, which is transport vesicles, or you can call it as secretory vesicle juga kan. So kalau kat bahagian sini kita boleh term dia sebagai vesicle ataupun secretory vesicle. Okay, because the vesicles will contain protein that the cell will secrete, okay, such as enzyme or hormones. Okay. Okay, so thank you Nasir. Okay, number 3, Syakir. Mana Syakir? Please don't waste time. We have a lot of questions to go through. Mana Syakir? Ni buka Google Meet je ke macam mana ni? Are you there? Okay, tak apa, kita Kak Ivy, Syakir, nanti kita akan suruh dia jawab soalan lain. Okay, Irdina, Nadia, Irdina. Number 3 please.
Number 3, identify this type of eukaryotic cell. Give one reason. The answer is plant cell, as it has a cell wall.
Cell wall? Mana? Dalam, ada cell wall ke dekat figure 7 tu? Does it have any cell wall?
Tak ada.
Macam mana boleh cakap dia ada cell wall?
Sekejap.
So, should it be plant cell? So figure 7, it shows the cell of, is it plant cell or animal cell or bacterial cell or what type of cell? Prokaryotic cell?
Animal cell.
Animal cell. Okay, so the answer should be animal cell. Identify the type of eukaryotic cell. Identify satu, reason satu. Okay, 1 mark is for the correct answer. If you answer animal cell. Reason why is figure 2, the cell in figure 2, the cell in figure 7 is an animal cell.
Because it has a plasma membrane.
Semua sel ada plasma membrane. Vice versa pada jawapan awak yang asal tadi. Apa ni? Sorry. Di kontra pada jawapan asal awak tadi.
It doesn't has cell wall.
Okay, it does not has a cell wall. There is no cell wall. There is no chloroplast also. Okay, so therefore, figure 7, it shows an animal cell because it does not have any chloroplast or it does not have any cell wall. Okay, so any of the two reason, you state one, so you should get 1 mark. Okay. Alright. So faham Idina?
Faham?
Okay. So now B. Nur Iliana.
Give one function of H. Provide cytoplasmic channel between adjacent cell.
Cytoplasmic apa tadi?
Cytoplasmic channel.
Okay. Provide cytoplasmic channel between adjacent cells. Satu markah lah you get. Kan? So further explanation if you want to add, if for example another question were to give 2 marks, the function of having cytoplasmic channel is to allow the transfer of small molecules and ion between adjacent cell, can be between these neighboring cells. So you have cell 1, cell 2, and then it is separated by the plasma membrane, but you still have connection between these two cell, which is this connection we call it as what? This cell junction that allows for the cell to form cytoplasmic channel. What is the name of this cell junction?
Gap junction.
Gap junction. Alright. So gap junction are only found in animal cell. So for plant cell, they don't have any gap junction, but instead they will have
plasmodesmata.
okay, plasmodesmata. Alright. So thank you. Iliana. Alright. So next is Shakila.
Chloroplast.
Name and draw one organelle that involved in the okay. Masih soalan chloroplast Name and draw one organelle. So your answer, you want to answer chloroplast. What is another organelles that involve in energy conversion in plant cell? So your answer can be chloroplast, and also what is the other organelle that involve in energy conversion? Ada dua je. Mitochondria. Okay, mitochondria. So satu markah, so 3 markah lagi adalah untuk awak punya drawing lah. So ini saya draw lah, tak apa So if you were to draw mitochondria or chloroplast, make sure you do not draw a 3D diagram. Why? Because satu, it is time consuming, wasting your time. Second, if you try to draw a 3D structure, it can lead you to draw the organelle in a wrong way. So for example, kalau awak nak cuba draw membrane of the mitochondria sebagai 3D, dia akan nampak membrane tu jadi macam 3 layers of membrane, padahal mitochondria tu ada 2 je membrane, the outer membrane and the inner membrane. Ni saya cakap ni sebab apa? Ada effort daripada punya senior dulu yang cuba try draw mitochondria as 3D structure, then bila awak try to draw it, dia nampak salah. Sebab apa? Sebab you are not using shading, semua-semua tu dia jadi nampak salah, so dia akan jadi nampak macam membrane ni ada 3-4 membrane pada mitochondria tu. Just draw it simple kan. So you have the outer membrane, so this is if you were to draw mitochondria, so the outer membrane, and then you have the inner membrane that is highly folded. Okay, so the inner membrane of the mitochondria is highly folded, and then inside the mitochondria you have abundance of tadi free ribosome kan, and also it has its own DNA kan. So then you just add the label lah. So make sure you add the label precisely pointing to that structure. So you have the outer membrane, Kan? Again, so you have the inner membrane, or we can also call it as cristae. You have the free ribosome, then you have the matrix of mitochondria, and also you have the intermembrane space. And if you were to draw a chloroplast, same, just draw with simple structure dia macam ni juga, rod shape macam tu. So you have the outer membrane, but the inner membrane of the chloroplast biasa je, and it is not folded like mitochondria, but it has thylakoids, okay, that are stacked on top of each other. So these thylakoids are stacked on top of each other to form what? What do you call stack of the thylakoids?
Granum.
Granum, kan? So when you have lots of granum, then we can call it as grana. Okay, so you have the stroma, okay, which is the space is inside the chloroplast. Kan? So you label lah outer membrane, inner membrane, intermembrane space, the stroma, the ribosome, kan? The granum, and also the thylakoids. And also you also have structure that joins the thylakoid together, we call it as lamella, kan? Okay, so just label all the structure correctly. So dia nak satu markah untuk name the organelle, 3 markah untuk you draw the structure correctly with 3 labels and 3 correct labels. Okay. So so thank you Shakila. So
Miss,
next, yeah.
saya pergi tandas tadi, Miss.
Okay, Syakir. Alright, so tak apa. Okay, so kita proceed dengan Syakir lah. Boleh?
Boleh.
Alright. Kau nak, okay, awak relax dululah. Kita bagi Syakila. Okay, Syakila proceed.
Identify the type of specialized primary tissue that forms the label structure. For skin, epithelial tissue, bicep, muscle tissue, and then for bone, connective tissue.
Okay, so betul. Okay, so 3 marks for each one. So skin, epithelial tissue or epithelium. Okay, so kalau bicep tadi awak jawab muscle tissue, tapi to be specific dia muscle ni kita ada 3 jenis kan? So which one? For bicep, kita ada smooth muscle, kita ada cardiac muscle, kita ada skeletal muscle. So for bicep is which one?
Skeletal tissue, skeletal muscle.
Kan, skeletal muscle lah. Kan, so tapi kalau jawab muscle pun diterima lah kan. Secara generalnya it is for bicep it is muscle. Tapi kalau soalan tu suruh identify the type of muscle, for bicep it is skeletal muscle. Alright. So bone is connective tissue kan, ataupun mineralized connective tissue. If your answer to be more specific lah kan. Mineralized connective tissues. Okay, so Shakila, thank you. Okay, D, Shakir.
Relate the structure of cilia to its role in movement. Structure.
Okay, so first you have to understand, you have to relate your answer with figure 10, right? Kan? So figure 10 shows diagram of a species of paramecium with cilia on its plasma membrane. So paramecium is a type of protist, which is unicellular eukaryotes that lives in aquatic environment. Okay, so they have to have cilia that allows the paramecium to be able to move lah kan?
Yes.
So relate the structure of cilia to its role in movement, in the movement of this paramecium. So macam mana struktur cilia ni? Kalau
Cilia
dalam,
are made out of microtubules
okay.
coated by the membrane plasma membrane.
Okay, plasma membrane, right? One mark. So the cilia is attached to the plasma membrane of the paramecium through what structure? Macam mana attachment cilia tu pada badan paramecium tu? Menggunakan apa?
9 triplet.
9 triplet ke? The structure of cilia and also flagella in this kalau soalan lain tanya pasal flagella kan, so cilia and flagella have the same structure where it is composed of microtubules kan, core of microtubules covered by plasma membrane, point awak yang pertama tadi, and then this structure, the cilium or the flagellum, are anchored to the cell by basal body kan, so basal body anchors the cilium kan, anchors to attach lah kan, attach the cilium to the cell. Okay, so and also what allows the cilia to be to move kan, cilia ni dipergerakkan dia akan bergerak dalam keadaan dia bending kan, dia bergerak back and forth. Pergerakan cilia ni kan, so ini let's say lah for example cilia that is attached to the plasma membrane of cell kan, pergerakan dia adalah dia akan bergerak front and back and forth macam tu, depan belakang. Sebab apa dia nak the movement of the cilia will swipe water across it so that it allows the paramecium to move across the water, to swim across the water. Faham? So the movement is back and forth. Pergerakan dia bergerak ke depan ke belakang, that allows the cilia to move front and back to allow the paramecium to move lah across the water. So this movement is aided by a protein, we call it as a motor protein called as dennin kan. So a motor protein called dennin drives the bending movement of a cilium. So if I were to share, sekejap kalau awak tengok punya nota ni, okay, if you look at your notes here, right? Your notes here, it shows you that the cilia and also flagella are made up of microtubules. Okay, so by having the microtubules as the component of cilia and flagella, it allows for the flagella to move in a motion, we call it as undulates. Pergerakan dia undulates. Macam pergerakan ecosperm tu lah kan. Berenang, undulates kan. Tapi kalau untuk cilia, pergerakan dia adalah back and forth. Ke depan, ke belakang, ke depan, power stroke macam tu, recovery stroke. So dia akan menggerakkan fluid lah across the cell. Okay, on the surface of the paramecium tu. Alright. So kalau untuk the arrangement of microtubules in cilia and flagella, we call it as 9 doublets. Okay, 9 doublets of microtubules arranged in a ring, or kita panggil dia sebagai 9 plus 2. Kalau tengok kat gambar ni, ini adalah arrangement of microtubules found in flagella and also cilia. 9 microtubules, okay, dia akan arrange dalam 9 doublets. Okay, 9 doublets of microtubules arranged in a ring. So in this case, you have extra 2 at the middle. We call it as 9 plus 2. Tapi ada juga 9 plus 0. 9 plus 0 maksudnya 9 kat keliling, kosong kat tengah. Faham tapi kalau 9 triplets adalah arrangement untuk basal body dan juga centrosome. Okay, so kita tahu kat mana 9 triplets, kat mana 9 doublets. Okay. So, alright. So, in your answer, you should mention tadilah kan, a motor protein called dennin drives the bending movement of the cilium. Okay. Boleh Syakir?
Boleh, Miss.
Alright. Okay, so next. E. Tadi siapa? Tadi, okay, Fitria.
Dengar tak, Madam?
Dengar?
Figure 11 shows a cross-section of a stem. Circle the letter that represents dermal tissue. I choose Q.
Okay, circle. Alright. So Q. Q is dermal tissue. What do you understand by dermal tissue ni? What is
It gives protection to the plant.
protective covering to the outer plant lah kan. So bagi satu contoh dermal tissue yang ada pada plant ni. Untuk young plant, the dermal tissue is known as
Yang first line defense tu ke?
kalau dalam nota.
Epidermis tissue, Madam.
Kan, so epidermis tissue. Itu kalau untuk non-woody plants ataupun young plants. Tapi kalau for woody plants, they akan replace the dermal tissue with
Peridum.
peridum. Kan, lebih keras lah. Alright, the structure of the peridum should be a lot tougher. Alright, so kalau R tu?
R tu ground tissue.
Ground tissue. Kalau P tu obviously is?
Vascular tissue.
Vascular tissue. So vascular tissue ada xylem, ada phloem. Kalau ground tissue ada 3 jenis, which is parenchyma, parenchyma, and also
Sclerenchyma.
sclerenchyma. Okay. So ground tissue, it forms the bulk of the plant lah kan. So the bulk of the plant is the ground tissue that has 3 different types. Tadilah parenchyma, parenchyma, and sclerenchyma. So I want you to all after this to look at the differences, okay, between these 3 different types of ground tissue. Okay, kat belakang, kat nota awak yang belakang tu ada jadual. So make sure you know the differences between parenchyma, parenchyma, and also sclerenchyma. Okay, so thank you Fitria. So next is Awatif.
Dengar ke?
Okay.
Dengar ke?
Dengar.
Okay. Figure 12 shows a simplified diagram of an animal cell. First, describe the role of organelle L in the production of lysosome. So, organelle L is Golgi apparatus. So, the function is Golgi apparatus function as factory in which protein received from the endoplasmic reticulum are further processed and stored for transport to their eventual destination. So, when vesicle bud off from the Golgi and fused with endosome, lysosome are formed. Yang ni saya tak tahu saya nak kaitkan yang macam mana the reproduction lysosome tu.
Okay, dalam awak punya buku kan, L tu ditunjuk kat mana?
L tu
Mitochondria.
Tapi jawapan Awatif tadi, you said that L is?
Golgi apparatus.
Macam mana awak boleh tahu, how do you manage to state that L as the Golgi apparatus if in the figure it shows mitochondria?
Saya saya guna apa nama dia, the previous exercise yang madam upload kat e-feature tu.
Oh ya? Dalam tu dia labeling dia terbalik?
Sekejap saya buka buku. Sorry madam, sebab saya tak nak baca kertas dalam tu, so saya habiskan
Okay, so sebenarnya tak apa Watif. Sebenarnya yang awak dapat tu adalah betul. Saya nak yang lain tolong betulkan. Saya nak test je awak punya kefahaman. So jawapan Awatif tadi dah betul dah. Okay, the answer given by Awatif is correct. For the rest of you, please betulkan labeling dekat awak punya diagram for figure 12, betulkan, terbalikkan. Sepatutnya M tu adalah Golgi apparatus, L tu adalah Mitochondria. Tolong terbalikkan label dia. Boleh yang lain?
Boleh.
So then only you can relate the figure to the question number 1 tu. Kalau awak tak terbalikkan, so you cannot answer number 1 as it does not make sense. Faham So describe the role of L. L should be Golgi apparatus in the production of lysosome. So your answer should be the function of the Golgi apparatus or L is to manufacture enzyme for the lysosome. Satu markah awak boleh dapat. Sort and package materials and enzyme into lysosome. Second point. And from there, once the enzyme has been produced in the Golgi apparatus, this enzyme or this protein, the functional protein, will be packaged into vesicles that will bud off from the Golgi apparatus to form the lysosome. Faham boleh?
Miss.
Ya.
Yang selepas sort and package tu apa dia, Miss?
Okay. First kali, the function of the Golgi apparatus is to manufacture, to produce, to produce the enzyme for the lysosome. So how to produce the enzyme for the lysosome is by sorting. It sorts, it modifies the protein that enters into the Golgi apparatus that were produced from the rough ER. So tadi kan kita tengok the function of the rough ER is to produce protein, and this protein are packaged into vesicles, and then after that it fuses with the Golgi apparatus. So this protein once it enters into the Golgi apparatus, the protein will be modified, will be sorted into to form a protein that has specific function, a functional protein. So in this case, this protein will become the enzyme for the lysosome. Sebab kita nak ceritakan macam mana lysosome ni boleh terhasil. Awak tahu that the lysosome is an organelle that contains hydrolytic enzyme. So hydrolytic enzyme is composed of protein that was initially produced in the Golgi in the rough ER tapi modify, sort and package in the Golgi apparatus. Faham Modifies, sort and package. Proteins, proteins that will become, boleh cakap kat situ, that becomes enzyme and package enzyme and dah tulis dah package kat sini, saya cross out lah, and package into vesicle that forms later the lysosome. Boleh modify, sort the protein into a functional enzyme and package into vesicles that forms the lysosome. Okay, so boleh tulis kat situ lah, boleh lah dapat terus. Okay, point yang lain boleh letak adalah manufacture Manufacture tu produce juga lah kan, manufacture enzyme for the lysosome. Lysosome. Okay. Boleh?
Boleh.
Okay.
Boleh. Sorry madam, saya tak perasan gambar dalam buku dengan yang madam upload tu lain.
Okay, tak apa. So sepatutnya yang awak dapat tu lah yang the soft copy tu. Yang dalam future kan? Okay. Okay, so thank you Awatif. So number 2, Ivana.
Lysosomes are involved in autophagy. Explain the process. Autophagy is a process that recycles cells' own organic material. Damaged organelle becomes surrounded by membrane. Lysosomal fuse with this vesicle. Lysosomal enzyme dismantle the enclosed material and release into cytosol for use.
Okay, so betul, you got all the marks. Okay, so Ivana, thank you. So faham apa what you just explained? So basically, autophagy is the process where the function of the lysosome is to recycle, okay, old and worn out organelles within the cell. So within the cell, you have, for example, old mitochondria or chloroplast that is not functional anymore. So these organelle will be packaged into a vesicle that has double membrane. Okay, so this organelle will be surrounded by vesicles that has double membrane, and then after that a lysosome will come and fuse, okay, and fuse with these vesicles containing the worn out organelles, and then the enzyme within this lysosome will digest or break down the organelles into smaller molecules, into smaller compartment, into monomers to be recycled, okay, to be recycled and reused by the cell to produce other component for the cell. Okay, so thank you Ivana. Number 3, Inshira.
Name 3 components of extracellular matrix in the cell shown in figure 12. Madam, I'm not sure the answer, okay? Collagen, protoglycan complexes and fibronectin.
Betul lah tu, kenapa awak tak sure?
Betul.
Okay. Okay, so the answer should be, ada 3 je component of extracellular matrix: fibronectin, collagen and also proteoglycan complex. Okay, so extracellular matrix, okay, it can only be found in animal cell and there is no ECM in the plant cell, okay, found surrounding the plant cell. Why does the animal cell has extracellular matrix? By having this extracellular matrix, it helps to enhance the structure of the plasma membrane. Okay, so kalau plant cell wall dia ada, kalau plant cell dia ada cell wall kan, to maintain the structure of the plasma membrane for that plant cell. Tapi kalau untuk animal cell, because animal cell does not have any cell wall, okay, instead they will have extracellular matrix to support the structure of the plasma membrane. Okay, and then by having extracellular matrix also, the function of the extracellular matrix is to control, okay, to control the traffic, the movement of molecules that tries to enter into the cell. Macam tu kan, movement of molecules in and out of the cell. Okay, so kalau tengok dekat dalam punya gambar plasma membrane, especially in chapter 3 for example, you have the integrins, the protein that is embedded in the plasma membrane will attach to the fibronectin, kan? Dia akan attach to the fibronectin. So this is to enhance the structure of the plasma membrane, and also the integrin will also attach to the cytoskeleton in the inside of the cell. Okay, so this attachment of the protein to the fibronectin, attachment of the protein to the cytoskeleton will enhance the shape of the of the plasma membrane for the cell. Okay. So thank you. Tadi siapa? Inshira. Next is Afika.
Describe the structure of organelle M. M is mitochondria,
Okay.
which has outer membrane, inner membrane, and cristae. There is ribosome in the mitochondrial matrix.
Tadi point yang last tadi apa? Ribosome in the mitochondrial matrix. Okay, so bolehlah. Okay. So basically tadi kan awak cakap pasal outer membrane, inner membrane and cristae. Actually, okay, inner membrane is also known as cristae. And why is it called as cristae? Because inner membrane is highly folded. So the highly folded inner membrane we call it as cristae. Faham? Okay.
Faham.
Alright.
Madam,
Hmm.
kalau intermembrane boleh ke?
Tak ada intermembrane. Salah. Istilah intermembrane is wrong. Tak ada, there's no such thing. Kalau kita tengok structure mitochondria yang saya draw tadi, kan? So it consists of only the outer membrane, inner membrane or cristae. Yang space ni, the space between inner and outer, we call it as intermembrane space. Ruang. Okay, intermembrane space. So point yang lain awak boleh add into your answer is you explaining why is it that the cristae is highly folded. So the highly folded cristae is to provide large surface area for enzyme to involve in the production of ATP. Okay, so the highly folded inner membrane ni kan, so you will have many enzyme, especially enzyme we call it as ATPase. ATPase. Okay, so this ATPase is to synthesize ATP molecule. So as you know, the function of the mitochondria is to involve in the cellular respiration, which involve in the production of ATP. So as the inner membrane is highly folded, it allows for for more enzyme to be embedded in the inner membrane to allow for the production of more ATP molecule. Okay. So the mitochondria matrix will contain tadi ribosome and also mitochondrial DNA. I boleh mention kat situ. Mitochondrial DNA and also enzyme. Okay, so that is the component within the matrix. Ada ribosome, ada enzyme, ada DNA. Okay. Okay, so B, identify junction X.
Me. Cell junction X is desmosome.
Desmosome, okay. So itu senang je. Next, proceed. Kita sambung sekejap boleh tak? Kita habiskan sikit. The rest of you.
Boleh.
Okay.
Boleh.
Okay.
Function of cell junction Z is it provides cytoplasmic channels between adjacent cells.
And tadi kita dah buatlah soalan ni tadi. Boleh sambung lagi ayat. Kenapa nak kena ada cytoplasmic channel is to allow transfer of small molecules and also ions between adjacent cell. Okay, so point yang sama macam soalan yang tadi tu. Okay, the function of cell junction Z adalah untuk allows for cytoplasmic channel between adjacent cells so that small molecules and ions can be transferred across these two cells. Okay, so awak boleh note kat situ yang cell junction Z tu adalah gap junction. Okay. So figure 13 actually it shows the section of cardiac muscle. So cardiac muscle are the muscle that compose your heart lah kan, cardiac muscle kan. So the component of the muscle of your heart, cardiac kan. So apa fungsi gap junction ni is to allow the transmission of impulse, okay, from the cardiac muscle, from one cardiac muscle to another cardiac muscle that allows the muscle to contract. kan, to pump, to contract. So sebab tu kena ada gap junction. It allows ion to pass through. The transmission of impulse adalah disebabkan pergerakan ion, sodium ion and also potassium ion, kan. So the transmission of this ion causes the generation of impulse in the cardiac muscle. So sebab tu kena ada gap junction untuk mempercepatkan pergerakan ion-ion ni untuk menghasilkan impulse. Okay. Okay, so name the organ where cardiac muscle can be found. Tadilah saya bagi tahu heart. Okay, so the rest. Okay, so next, why is organelle Y is semi-autonomous? Organelle Y adalah mitochondria. So kenapa dia semi-autonomous? Sebab apa? Tadi kita dah mention mitochondria has their own DNA molecule. Okay, so because mitochondria has their own DNA molecule, the mitochondria can replicate, okay, without the instruction from the nucleus. So that's why it is semi-autonomous due to the presence of its own DNA, its own ribosome that enables the mitochondria to replicate itself without the instruction of the from the nucleus, and also they can produce their own enzymes, okay, enzyme and also proteins. Okay, so that's why mitochondria and also chloroplast, they are semi-autonomous. Dia tak perlukan instruction daripada nucleus sebab dia ada DNA dia sendiri. Okay, so number 5, explain how the structure of organelle Y is adapted for it to function efficiently. Okay, so ini you mention or you relate your answer with cristae tu kan. So cristae is highly folded. The inner membrane of the mitochondria, which is cristae, is highly folded to provide large surface area for enzymes involved in the production of ATP. So this is to allow more ATP to be produced during cellular respiration. Okay. So number 4, ini saya go through lah jawapan dia dengan cepat. Number 4, list 2 main characteristics of bacteria. Apa dia? Do not have membrane-bound organelle, has no nucleus, but instead they have nucleoid. Okay, they have cytoplasm surrounded by plasma membrane. They are generally small in size. They have presence of free ribosome, okay, suspended in the cytoplasm. They have cell wall made up of proteoglycan or purine, and they have mesosome. Bacterial cell ni kan, sebab dia adalah bakteria tapi dia perlu still menghasilkan tenaga. Tapi macam mana nak hasilkan tenaga tapi kalau dia tak ada mitochondria? Dia akan ada, instead of having mitochondria, they have mesosome. Mesosome is folded plasma membrane, kan? Folded plasma membrane, region of the plasma membrane for the bacteria that is folded. Okay, so this mesosome, the region will involve in the in cellular respiration, in the production of ATP. Okay, so B, figure 14 shows a diagram of a simplified eukaryotic cell. Okay, so name the carbohydrate that makes up structure S. S tu apa? What is S? S tu adalah
Cell wall.
Cell walls.
So your answer should be cell wall, is it?
Cellulose.
Cellulose. Kan? So tengok dia punya keyword dekat sini. Name the carbohydrate that makes up structure S should be cellulose. Kan? Jangan jawab cell wall. Kan? So dia trick kat situ lah. So number 2. Structure T adalah chloroplast, V adalah mitochondria, are not part of the endomembrane system. These two similarities of these two organelles. Senang je. Okay, so what is the similarity between mitochondria and also chloroplast? They have double membrane. Organelle that have double membrane. Okay, so they have double membrane, they have their own DNA, they have their own ribosome. They are semi-autonomous, kan, which they can grow and reproduce independently in the cell, and they are organelle that involve in energy conversion. Kan. So ada banyak kat situ, you can choose 2. Okay, choose 2. Tulis je mana-mana dua point yang saya dah mention tadi. So name the cell junction found in the cell in figure 14. So figure 14 adalah plant cell. Kan? So plant cell dia tak ada desmosome, dia tak ada gap junction, tapi instead of gap junction they have plasmodesmata. Okay. So that is the answer for number 3. Number 4, name the structure in fresh water proteins that is similar to structure W. Give its function. Structure W adalah central vacuole. Tapi in this case dia nak suruh bagi dalam untuk fresh water proteins. Okay, fresh water proteins. So the structure instead of having central vacuole, they have apa? Vacuole?
Contractile.
Okay, contractile vacuole. The function of the contractile vacuole is to pump excess water out of the cell ataupun it involved in osmoregulation. Okay, osmoregulation. Okay, so next, name the fiber. So the fiber should be what? Microfilament ataupun actin filament. Okay. So number 2, give two function of this fiber. Apa? Ada banyak kan dah punya nota tu dah ada dalam jadual. Maintenance of cell shape, involved in muscle contraction, involved in cell division in animal cell, and then also involved in cell motility such as amoeboid movement kan, ataupun cytoplasmic streaming in plant cell, and also changes in cell shape. Okay, so awak boleh mention lah mana-mana dua tadi kan. So just look up in your notes, ada dalam jadual tu. Untuk latihan tak apa jangan buat dalam exam. Okay. Number D. Kita habiskan soalan 4 ni lah. Okay. The figure 16 shows a diagram of human leg. Give the type of primary tissue for X. X apa? Tissue? Muscle?
Skeletal muscle.
Skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle. Okay, boleh lah. Kan, skeletal muscle. Y? What is Y? Composition component for tissue Y? Connective tissue. Kan, connective tissue. So jenis connective tissue, soalan dia suruh bagi type of tissue kan. So it is connective tissue ataupun jenis connective tissue dia adalah tendon. Okay, tendon that connects attach muscle to bone. Okay. So E, pancreas is both an endocrine and exocrine gland. Explain this statement. Ya, ini sebenarnya soalan E ni dia macam out of the topic sikit. Okay, tapi tak apalah. Boleh jawab tapi dia out of the topic. Ini sebenarnya kalau to be out of the topic lah. Okay, tapi tak apalah. So pancreas, kalau kita nak jawab dia, kenapa dia both endocrine and exocrine gland? Kalau endocrine, dia terlibat dalam secretion of hormones, kan, insulin, glucagon. Exocrine sebab apa? Sebab dia terlibat dalam secretion of digestive enzyme. Okay. F, vascular tissue system is one of the three tissue system in plant. What is the importance of vascular tissue system? Apa dia?
Transfer water and mineral substance throughout the plant.
Okay, betul lah kan. So facilitate the transfer of minerals, water and also sugar kan across the plant. Okay, facilitate the transport of materials throughout the plant and provide mechanical support. Okay, ni soalan last kan. Give two types of vascular tissue. Kita ada xylem and also phloem. Okay, so habis. So far ada soalan tak that you would like to ask on chapter 2? Any question that you like to ask on chapter 2 as we have exam next week? Test bio hari apa? Rabu. Okay. So you have plenty of time to do your revision. So do your revision. Saya akan upload lah ni the session ni dalam YouTube saya nanti. for you all to refer.